Welcome back to Vigo's Court. I'm your judge, Judge Salty, and today with me is Counselor Q. Why don't you let the people know how you're doing today, Q?
What it do? What it do? We're starting off week 8, baby. We're coming down the home stretch, feeling good. And in case we have people who, I know you, and I know probably quite a few of the people in the competitive scene know you, but if we have anybody who doesn't know you here in Vigo, since it is your first time showing up on the desk, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yo, y'all, I'm Salty Luck, otherwise known as Freddy Krueger on some Fridays. The mask has kind of been taking a little bit of damage, and we're getting that repaired. But as some of y'all may know, I do cosplay Freddy Krueger. I am one of those dirty Freddy mains. I have a little bit of comp experience under my belt. I've been around for quite a while. I've got a little over 12,400 hours in this game. Yikes, I know. A little bit of experience here. But that's a little bit about myself, I do a little bit of the Survivor as well. We stream over on our channel as well. Play a lot of this DBD.
Fantastic. So bringing a lot of experience to the table, which is exciting. And, today we are going to be venturing to a map that's not really typical for comp, I would say, outside of very rare instances. But as far as today, we are going to be taking a trip onto Father Campbell's Chapel here. It is, of course, the Crotus Pet Asylum, 140 square tiles, 8,960 square meters. What does that mean, though? That means 6 hooks minimum, 11 hooks maximum. So kind of one of those maps where you kind of have to make sure you're doing a good job of keeping track of where your hook resources are, especially when it comes to those elimination hooks, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a bigger map too, so you gotta kind of keep your awareness of the generators and where your 3-gen's going to be placed at the end too on the killer side. And we're going with Monarchy here with Demice, and it's going to be a really good game, really good matchup. Our home team being Monarchy today. It's just going to be a really good matchup from what I've been watching.
Yeah, it should be fun because Demice has been one of those teams, even though they are kind of on a little bit of a losing streak, they're still in contention for playoff play if they want to, but it needs to start today, especially because they have a little bit of a tougher end of things here. You've got Monarchy today, you've got Arctic Wolves, which is another one of our undefeated teams. And speaking of undefeated, Monarchy is looking to keep their perfect season going, so it should be interesting today.
Yeah, it's kind of harder to try to keep a perfect season going too, especially when you kind of get those jitters going, a little bit of butterflies building up. I understand that completely.
Yeah, it should be interesting here, though, right? Because we are talking about Father Campbell's Chapel. We're at a point in the season where maybe we would start seeing some S tiers come out, but Father Campbell's Chapel isn't really a map where I feel like you can get a really I feel like it's really hard to flex your S tier killers in this map, right?
Oh yeah, honestly, it really is, especially with like the Spirit, how it kind of had that recent kind of nerf for it to say, it's a little bit harder to kind of get used to those changes, especially on these kind of bigger maps. And like Blight with the collisions and everything, it just never really works out in his favor sometimes. He's just not as strong as where he was.
It's interesting that you bring up Spirit, because Spirit is one of the S tier killers that was for a while kind of strayed away from. We've kind of seen her coming out a little bit. I feel like in week 7, which was technically 2 weeks because we split up, I feel like we started seeing more of Spirit coming out here. You had mentioned her maybe still has some counterplay on this map, but I feel like possibly also gives you the ability to push, say, from Shack side over to like let's say over to like the circus, right?
Yeah, honestly, it really does. The Spirit, in my opinion, she would kind of be a really good choice on this map just because of the size of it and like how we were talking about with the generators and the hook pressure and just remembering where you left the hooks at and everything. She can kind of just mind game after the hooks and phase away, like, is she really camping there, or did she kind of leave away from the hook? And it can really put a survivor out of position in this kind of size of map to where it'll work out for the killer.
Now, things do, what I'm going to be interested to see here, now we're talking about Demice being on the killer side first. I feel like this is going to be one of those maps where maybe we have some interesting things come up. You talked about, I know that you're a Freddy main, and I think not only Demice, but I think also Monarchy has the Nightmare of Veil. Yeah, they actually, oh no, Demice has used it, so we wouldn't see Demice. Maybe Monarchy picking it up though. What's your thoughts though on maybe a potential of seeing my boy the Cenobite today?
Oh man. By the way, just real quick, I'm getting a little bit of information. You might be getting an invite here really shortly.
From Paige?
But
Yeah, she needs to turn
yeah,
off
from
her
Paige.
cross-platform so I can join from Epic.
Okay, so they just need to turn off their cross-platform so they can join from Epic.
Yeah. I sent her a message, or I sent Paige a message, so they shouldn't be getting everything set up for me here in a second.
Right, but back to your question about what I'm going to think about seeing our boy Pinhead coming in here. He's kind of an underplayed killer, in my opinion, kind of because he's got a little bit of that rap of just being, he's kind of strong, really perk dependent in a lot of people's opinions and stuff like that. But to me, I've seen it proven many of times that a killer does not really necessarily rely on perks. It's just more or less on who's playing that killer.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be very interesting to kind of see that killer come out, especially on this map, because the hallways in the main building, it just kind of works in his favor with his power. He could just kind of put you down pretty quick right there. And if he can kind of protect those gens close to that main building, it can be a very interesting game output towards end game.
Yeah, it's interesting because hold on here. Let me switch over to wait, why are we not in a custom game? I'm confused.
Confusion across the board.
Confusion?
Huh? Nani?
Okay, Paige said 1 second. I'm joining too fast because I'm really excited to get into this matchup. But one thing with Cenobite that's interesting, I feel like one thing with when you talk about with his chain hunt and everything there, I feel like a lot of the little mini filler areas that are in between, like basically what happens right around the main building, we have all the broken buildings.
Yeah.
Those you can still even get slowed down very easily by chains like that are kind of more the vertical ones, so you can kind of get some weird angles and still get caught up quite easy.
Yeah, honestly, you really can. Those chains can get really annoying too if the Cenobite is like really going after his box and doing those at the right time too. With a chain hunt could just really shut down a team.
One thing here. I always worry about logging in then having you freezing up here, but I did see I think it was Slow sending me an invite. I don't see him on my... It's tough. I feel like I've been on my Epic account for a while, and that's...
But that's funny. I hear Epic is the way to go right now, so...
Well, especially because right now, too, I've got my Steam is on the PTB. Hold on here. Sorry, chat. Why do I keep getting invites onto my Steam, though?
As we're kind of thinking about this, though, what's your thoughts about maybe possibly the chances of getting to see a Blight on this map? Because I know we talked a little bit about Spirit, and I know I had mentioned Blight a little bit as being another S-tier killer, but what's the chances of you thinking maybe a Blight?
So I think if we see a Blight, if I'm not mistaken, one of our two teams here already has... Let me double check here. So if we're to see it, it would be from Monarchy, because Demice has already consumed both picks, actually, thus far in the season. Maybe. I feel like just a lot of those kind of the same areas we were talking about. Why do I keep having people with crossplay disabled? Sorry.
You're good.
I just feel like I've been on Epic here for a while. Hold on.
I guess cross-play is just not really that favorable.
Yeah. I understand. I think it makes it easier for some people when they're doing their custom lobbies for connection, but
yeah, I completely understand that.
But yeah, I feel like when we talk about those middle areas, so like it's basically the ruins of what were buildings, not the actual tiles themselves, but those can be very tricky to work around for the Blight. And so I think if I'm looking at Monarchy, and if I am Monarchy, looking at the rest of the schedule, knowing that you still have a couple of weeks left to maybe still bring out Blight on a map where you can really flex them on, maybe it's one of those situations where they would have to be... Demice would be maybe like if it's trial 4 and you're in desperate need of a really strong game, right?
Yeah, probably just like a desperate kind of a choice right there.
But one thing that's interesting though is we've seen quite often where teams have reached for, say, a blight or a spirit or a nurse when they need, a 4K at like 3 or 2
Right.
gens, and then you get almost that, but not enough. It's like, oh well, I just wasted a good game for nothing on one of my best killers. So it's kind of interesting with it being this point in the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With it being week 8 and everything like that, I
Yeah.
completely understand with what you're saying.
And especially because, I mean, Monarchy still has a couple of, they have what I think it's 2 more games on, or no, this is their second to last game on their home court. I always call it court, home field, whatever you want to call it. But they've still got some maps on some more favorable maps for S tiers. So I feel like you're probably saving those for the end, if I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's what I would probably do as well. Just kind of save it more for the end and lock down that sure win kind of a feel if you're really that confident with that killer.
Now,
High five nominated.
one thing I can't help but, we gonna do a high five? All right.
That's what I heard. High five nominated.
Check this out. We're doing a high five on the count of 3, and I want it to be like we're reaching across a couple of states. Yeah, right across camera here, baby. Right
I'm ready,
here.
buddy.
You ready? All right. 1,
Ready?
2,
1,
3.
2, 3.
Let's
High
go. Yeah. I gotta go a little higher. Boom. I love
wait,
it.
we're getting a little bit of armpit action in there. Got to hide that down. We got the. Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good.
But
high fives across the board.
Looking at a couple of other killers that could be picked here, and especially for Demice, who is starting, what would be your thoughts on us maybe seeing like a Huntress? Because you can work, let's say when you're working around the middle buildings, you can kind of get some of those shots working down whatever side you're working at, whether you're going towards the shack side or the carnival side. You can kind of work around some of those like middle loops as well. I feel like maybe that, or even I mean, we haven't seen Demice bring out Nemesis. I feel like Nemesis could also do some good here because of his, M2 ability.
Oh, of course. Nemesis is very strong right now, in my opinion. Kind of underrated, but very strong because that whole whip that he can do. The killer can kind of just put a lot of pressure on every pallet, every window. Anytime he throws down that tentacle, just give a little tiny wiggle in there, you know what I'm saying? Wiggle the worm a little bit, and then there you go. He gets a hit. And he can just really apply a lot of pressure. And you only get so many vaccines. And if the survivors are smart to counter that pressure, what they would do is they would save that for their death hook and kind of use that before death hook.
Now, and that was going to be a question that I want to ask, was one, your thoughts on when you should vaccinate early or late? Because sometimes I wonder if you vaccinate early to prevent the tier 3 from being built up, you can kind of benefit from that, yeah?
In my thoughts, it's very situational, honestly. It depends on how the Nemesis himself is playing. Is he very aggressive? Is he aggro? Is he just kind of hitting and leaving? Is he staying on me? Is he following through with the chase?
Right.
Can I make this Nemesis chase me longer than I really can make another killer chase me? Because if you're getting hit right away, chances are it's probably best just to hold off on that vaccine because you're just going to get hit every freaking time that he uses it because it's just how Nemesis is. So in my opinion, it's better to hold off until later game because then you can use it and assure that you have that 1 health state extra towards like death hook or any kind of situation for that, or you can save it for somebody else that may be able to use it to save you on hook. So,
and it's
very situational.
It's very interesting because I'm now looking across the board on Nemesis because you had mentioned, underrated, and I would very much agree with that concept. We see a lot of teams, Demice being one of them, who hasn't used Nemesis at all. I know that Monarchy has used Nemesis once. I mean, they have Slow. Slow's a pretty strong Nemesis player. But I feel like otherwise, it seems like, I don't know if it's just because the DBD community is like habitually like a very much like a creatures of habit. So it's like they're new killers. So you just don't want to spend time on them. You want to go to old reliable.
That's
or what?
What I say. Yeah, every time I say that about how the DVD community is, how they just kind of latch on to that. Oh, it's new, and
yeah,
it really throws me for a loop. And sometimes the element of surprise in DVD is your strongest thing that you have. So like, throw something at them that they're not going to expect. Sometimes it can really give you that upper edge in this game.
And it's I don't know, because it's weird because I feel like if you look at a lot of the newer killers, like we saw that initially, like with Twins after her, like I always say Twins is her because I feel like Charlotte's like the main character, but it's them. When they were released, like no one really played them, and then like really started seeing them in the Russian scene, then the EU competitive scene, to where now like all of the competitive scene kind of at least has a decent grasp of like at least the twins. But I feel like you can say the same thing about a lot of the newer killers. Cenobite, Nemesis, we aren't seeing them much, but I feel like they could really come to play.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with like the artists and stuff like that. She's so new. A lot of people are kind of really like sketchy to play her. And is this play style really exactly the way to play her? But it's like, sometimes you can just pick up that killer and grasp onto it. But sometimes these newer killers, they come out with these kits that it's just really hard to understand and kind of know how to counter it.
So since we seem to have lost our lobby while they're getting everything set up here, while we have an extra moment, what are your thoughts on the newest killer here that we've had released that has not been really released into comp DBD yet? But what's your thoughts on the artist?
My thoughts on the artist, to be honest to you, and this is coming as being a Freddy main, and we've talked about it over in my channel many of times. It's honestly like another Freddy, in my opinion. She can place her birds just like you do with the snares. It's very similar to that kind of gameplay style, and a survivor can counter that very easily by not just staying at the loop. If you just run away from the loop and you kind of become that W hold survivor or stick hold forward survivor that they always talk about, you can kind of counter some of these artists that are playing right now, because in their minds they're thinking that they can lock you down at the loops themselves with her birds, and you can kind of mind game with going forth, with just running forward to the next pallet and not necessarily dropping the pallet, but mind gaming at it and getting away to the next tile. And that's kind of been like the biggest counter to her that I've been seeing here lately. But for her, I think that she's strong. She's not going to be an S tier, maybe like mid on the web up. It's not going to be like, like a Nurse was or a Spirit was in their prime.
Right. All right. I see we've got French Fry, who I think is the person who I was originally told that I should be waiting for here. So I'm hoping now we'll be able to get our lobby going here. There we go. Yes. All right. So, one thing that I wanted to talk about before getting into really the depth of this matchup, something to keep an eye out for is, we talked about, even though Monarchy's looking to go undefeated through the rest of their season, and they have a possibility to do it, I would say they've kind of overcome the harder portion of their schedule these last couple weeks. I mean, you still have to, we saw that Entity isn't anything to be like downplayed. Even I would say Hex Girls as well, or I mean, really Death Wish. It's not like they have an easy road out, but I feel like they might be able to catch themselves thinking, oh, we've done the hard work, and then let Demice kind of, really put themselves ahead in the first couple trials here. So I think it's gonna be something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, we're gonna have to really watch on that. It's going to be a very interesting game. I can't wait to watch.
I do anticipate that this is probably going to be one of those games that, even though we might see a team cut, like let's say here we might see whether it be the killer come out and have a very strong game, or let's say the survivors get it 3 out, even though the score might be very big at the margin might be very wide at first. I have a feeling this game is going to come down to trial number 4, and we're not going to really have a decision until like the end,
Right, so it's looking like you can go ahead and switch out a killer right now.
Let's do it!
It looks like we're ready for this, and we're ready to ding that bell.
All right, I'll go ahead and let them know. Good luck, have fun. They can ready up here. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy to think New Year's here. First off, I guess Happy New Year, everyone. I just realized this is our first broadcast of New Year. I don't think we officially said Happy New Year to everyone, so hopefully everyone had a safe holiday. Wait, was it the first? No, yeah, it would be the first broadcast of the New Year. So Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year, everyone. I hope everybody had a great time and is being safe. Sorry, I didn't do that. Jeez, I'm failing already.
No, you're good. I didn't even realize that it was, because, it's the 6th. So it's hard to imagine, but again, we kind of we broke up the 1 week into 2 weeks, and it's
exactly.
I think
Time
actually
flies just too fast, man. I just can't keep track of what days it is anymore, dude.
True though.
Time is
true.
just flying.
I think it's part of it has been the like little weird time continuum that started with COVID, and that now continues to go on as like some people get sent home from work. Like I know the boss lady got sent home. She's working home from work again. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, so we're back. It's like this weird time continuum. I will let them know they're good. I thought they.
So we do got French Fry here going in as killer. I'm excited to watch this. I've seen a lot of his gameplay early on.
French Fry's been a very
French Fry is a
consistent,
pretty
strong
solid
killer.
killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very solid. So I'm very excited to get to sit in on this game and get to watch this.
You know, I think the biggest thing that I am most intrigued for both teams is I think more so from Demice, because obviously Monarchy, with it being on their home field, probably have a decent, like, what's the best way of saying it? A general understanding of what killers work best on this map, because it's their home map. They're always preparing for it, right? Whereas
right.
Demice, it's not a map you play on a lot.
Right, especially it being the home map is something that they've been working on and they're used to it. They got their call outs down. Some teams have different call outs than other teams, so everything's a little different. They've had more time to work on it, especially.
Cool. Well, while we saw our bloody blueprints and everything, our cut coin, we're actually going to talk real quick about how Demice is going to be looking at putting those points on the board here on the killer side. So, of course, you want to get hooks. The first and second hook are 2 points each. The third point, that's going to be the one that gets you the most. It is 3 points. If you happen to have any progressions, that does take away a point, so preferably don't camper things. But if you become like a slug god or something, you get a 7th and 8th progression. Those are going to be worth a point apiece. If you get a 4K, you do get the bonus of 2 points. And if you have an entity kill, as far as like at the end game, you do get the corresponding hooks as well, plus your progressions, okay? But if you happen to lose somebody on the ground during a slug process, the bleed out does indeed equal 0 points. 30 points altogether. If you have any questions or anything, don't ask me. Don't ask your mama. Exclamation point rules in chat here, all right? But let's go ahead and take a trip back into the fog, back to Father Campbell's Chapel. And this is a pick that we've seen come out against Monarchy quite a bit. Won't be surprised to see if they they're kind of used to this pick, the Doctor, because of course the static blast does give you an ability to get a lot of information, and of course you can shut down some of the loops as well.
Yeah, obviously you really can't do a lot of stuff here with Doctor. This map, using his big power shock and everything like that, you can just put a lot of pressure to know where the survivors are, especially with running, I think he said he had Corrupt right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with having Corrupt, he can kind of have the survivors on the side of the map that he wants them.
Yeah, and this side of the map, you know, over on Carnival side does tend to give yourself a decent 3-gen, as we're kind of seeing here. Unfortunate kind of split Corrupt, if we're being perfectly honest, for French Fry, but we do see as Rocket moves in and takes that hit there, we are going to see that broken status. That's actually going to be from that Forced Penance, a very common, I would say more common perk that we've been seeing coming from Doctor lately, because of course you do see a lot of teams opt to try and come in for those body blocks, and Forced Penance really makes them pay.
Yeah, Forced Penance is kind of one of those other underrated kind of perks, especially is really strong against them M1 killers when you got those teams trying to do those really strong body blocks.
And of course, Doc's just doing what Doc does. He does best, right? Like you saw him just goes for the shock right at the window, and like it's like you just can't do anything.
Yeah, just shuts them down on every one of these windows and every pallet, which is kind of what this map kind of depends on, are those window vaults around this main building here. And the Doctor does really well at shutting that down, as we just seen.
Now, one thing worth mentioning, as we do see no Ruin was in play there. We saw, of course, the Survivor push off, and then we did need to kick that gen. But even with the gen kick, no pop goes the Weasel. We will see a Deadlock come into play, though, here with the completion of the first gen. Interesting to see Deadlock become really such a staple in the competitive meta, as it is something that I feel like some people, Vader, still seem to think that maybe doesn't quite have a lot of value.
Yeah. That perk is very on the table with talking about if it's really useful or not, or if it just delays the game in the wrong way for the killer. But as we've seen it very useful in games before this one, as this game before, Deadlock has just became proofful that it is very useful.
And now here's the question. Slow was just up on the shoulder, and he slaps him with the D. Let's go.
Now we're going to have Doctor chasing him over here by the kill shack. It looks like he's going to take him for the loop and drop that pallet down right away.
Yeah, those pre-throws.
Good move right there. Yeah.
Kind of a common thing, right, with the Doc, right, with the pre-throws?
I don't know what the choice was to go down there. I guess maybe just kind of delay him a little bit, throw off. Maybe they got a
I
on
am
most consoles.
wondering, we'll have to keep an eye on it when we get to the end. We'll see if Baby Slow might have had balanced landing and was trying to
Yeah,
prox a balanced landing play there, possibly to
that
try and build some distance.
that would have probably been the only play right there to do. Fall down in the basement, use balance landing over the pallet again there.
Yeah, try and build just enough distance to be able to at least get out of Shack. Unfortunately, didn't work there, though. We do see, though, of course, with the decisive strike, prolonged the second hook. Now, the thing that French Fry does know, however, is now with the decisive strike being out of the way, you're basically, not only are you free to tunnel Slow as soon as Slow gets off the hook, that's even if the team decides to come and pick him out of the basement, but now you know that you can tunnel everybody off hook, right?
Right. In this situation, it's very killer sided right now because it looks like he's going to get a guaranteed kill right here on this, and he's going to get another down right here as well. It looks like he's going to just hold strong on this kill shack. I mean, he's got 3 gens to play with.
Yeah, and you talked about, the killer's side of the momentum right now. Now going to be seeing Slow getting that progression. Of course, with the progression on the death hook, that will make that death hook be worth 2 points instead of the 3 points. So you do at least take that 1 point away from the killer. It doesn't look like that was the strategy, but that is at least one of the benefits working for you right now as the survivor squad. It's been a little while since we've seen some gens pop, so hopefully we've got a couple of them getting close to completion.
Yeah, exactly. We might have a little bit of pressure on 1 gen on the side, but I did notice when we were over at the basement there at Kill Shack, we did have 2 survivors over there trying to go for the save. So there might not be as much gen progression as what we're thinking here. And it looks like Claudette is going to take him for a little bit of a run here around the LT.
Yeah, and that one generator you were talking about over by Shack, we actually see is covered up by that deadlock as well.
Yeah, so Deadlock also showing some more value here. Holding in that next gen that they could be having pressure on right now. But this chase, the chase is going to be held on here in main. This is a very strong chase to hold Doctor on when you got the window vault up there on the steps.
Yeah, we are going to be working our way around the TNL, are going to be able to make our vault at that location here. Should be able to build a little bit of distance. We are going to also see that deadlock now come off of that gen across the way that had the most progress, at least when the 3rd gen was complete. I believe that was a dead hard that we just saw there. Is they going to be able to make the window? Also now making it back to the TNL. Really good run right now by this Nancy.
Yeah, Nancy is really showing up right here. She's taking the Doctor for a good stroll around these LTs and back in the main. It's really throwing a lot of team pressure here for her.
Yeah, now even taking French Fry all the way to the corner. We are going to see the down here, though. Not sure if we're going to see French Fry go for the basement. No, yeah, actually, we're going to keep our survivor up on the top side here. This is going to be hook number 1 for our Nancy. I'm not sure if French Fry is going to tip last at the end of this after this nice tour around Father's Campbell's Chapel, but that really bought our survivors a lot of time.
Yeah, it really did. A lot of time for the survivors to put a lot more pressure on that gen because Deadlock did just go down before the down on the actual survivor. So the survivors had a lot of time to get some progression on that gen.
Now you do have, I don't want to call it really, like, you can't really say it's a 3 gen by any stretch of the mean, but it's not the furthest split of gens. You can kind of see, have a decent, you have the one right by us right now and then the 2 across there. So they're on the same half of the field. But you have a little bit of control here. Nice dead hard. Still not going to be enough though.
Yeah, we see it time after time again with the window vaults there. Sometimes you can make them with that fast vault, and sometimes you still get the end of the stick there. But it looks like that is going to put a lot more pressure on the survivors here to try to lock down this last gen.
Yeah, especially because the survivor that is right next to this gen that we were that we just put the gen. Wow. Yeah, we put a hook survivor on a gen. The hook we just put the survivor on. We pushed another survivor off that generator right next to it, and it was our injured survivor. Actually, kind of interesting to see French Fry break away from that chase and instead go for the fully healthy Keeperly here.
Yeah. I don't really know what the plan is here to go for the fully healthy. I'm not sure if she hasn't been. I don't think she's been hooked yet, if I don't recall. So that might be just a fresh hook. So that's the fresh hook I think he's going for here.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe both Keeperly and Rocket are fresh hook, which is where I was confused there. I guess maybe didn't want to deal with the middle building, but we do see now able to get the down onto Rocket. This will be a fresh hook as long as there's not a survivor in the area for a pallet save, no flashlight save either. But that does mean we have a survivor here somewhere in the area. French Fry looking to get another down.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to follow those scratch marks there after that hook through the main building there. He yeah, I was about to say, I think he's going to try to go through a big blast right here. That would probably be his only option, is try to find the survivors away from where he just had Rocket at.
Now, the good news is with that blast, you did actually get Keeperly up to the point where they're batshit crazy. So right now, Keeperly does need to stop somewhere, crouch, and defrag their brain, which does take a little bit of time. And now you're also able to get one more health state here. So now all three survivors are one health state away from being down on the ground. One of them is on death hook, which I do believe would be, yeah, is the survivor that you're chasing here, Nancy. Ooh, trying to get the Poco's, not going to be able to get the down here, though. Might be able to make the pallet.
Oh, she's coming in for the body block. It's a really good good attempt from Nia here with the body block. We see you with the force penance, as you were talking about earlier, coming in for the value. It's also going to keep her hurt for a lot longer here. So we're going to have to see if the survivors are going to commit to healing or if they're going to commit to try to do a gen here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you gotta hope that Keeperly is on a gen and able to knock out these skill checks here, because you were able to secure the down onto last before the window. That is going to be the elimination hook onto last here as well. Or I guess you can say this will be the last hook. Ayo, let's go. But now it is going to be a 2v1.
Yeah, 2v1s. Sometimes that can be kind of rough here. As you see, the gen just popped over there, so we do have a play for the gate here. But now that does raise the other questions.
Yeah, we do actually see over on the right side of the screen, we will see that haze status here. So French Fry is going to be taking chase with Keeperly here, which is kind of an interesting choice, because I think No, Keeperly is actually the one fresh hook, because we already got Rocket. So actually, this really being the survivor that will yield you the most points here in the end game. There is the one down. Wouldn't be surprised to see French Fry try and go for the slug. Maybe see if you can catch Rocket out of position. The only problem is both doors are very, very far away, and you would risk losing track of Keeperly, or maybe even Keeperly being able to make a play for a hatch, unfortunately. So really like the decision here to put Claudette onto a hook, but that will probably result in Rocket just taking the out.
Yeah, exactly. And with leaving the slug right there, it's kind of very risky of not knowing if Unbreakable is in play right now or not, because we haven't really got to see a situation to see if that perk is in play. So the Unbreakable could have came in clutch right there for the survivor at the end, if that was to be the situation.
Now, we do see the door opening. Yeah, I was going to say, not be surprised to see Rocket go ahead and take the decision. So we are going to see two progressions here on this death hook. So more points that you accrue while also kind of saving some points on the killer side. Or sorry, you save points, take points away from the killer on the survivor side, I should say. But honestly, French Fry with a very impressive game. 10 stages altogether. Really, really strong.
Yeah, that was a really good doctor game for that map as well, especially against this survivor team. It's a very strong survivor team, as we've seen in the past.
That was really tough. No fresh hooks or anything that we're leaving. So I mean, really doing what you need to, right? You spread the pressure all the way across. You don't let anyone leave unscathed. And I mean, 10 hooks, hard to complain about that result, right?
Yeah, I can't complain about 10 hooks, especially in a comp situation like this. That's kind of hard to get in this kind of situation. As people know, you have communication on the survivor side, which kind of makes the game rougher for the killer, because it does make the game, it goes a lot smoother for you on survivor side when you have the call outs and everything like that. And just to be able to get a sit in on some of those comp games and listen to how some of the communication goes, it's just amazing to see how they work together as a team and how much work they put into it. And it's just like, hats off to you guys out there, all the time you guys spend in doing this and like being there and doing this stuff time after time. It's just a lot of work that you guys put into this, and it's respected.
So Demice coming out in trial number 1, taking a 9-point lead. Now, the good news for you if you're Monarchy, even though you're looking at a 9-point deficit, is you are looking at, of course, going into the back-to-back killer sets, which is going to be interesting to watch. What do you think is the conversation going on right now on the Demice side to make sure that they try and continue that momentum from a strong killer performance?
Well, I think that the answer to that would probably maybe whip out an S tier killer here and try to put some pressure on and just hold that extra oomph to try to get that win here. I wouldn't really be surprised if we don't see a spear get whipped out here. I really think that she's really strong on the decision board here. She's been being held for a situation kind of like this leading up to it. I really think that we may see a spirit coming out um, tonight for sure.
Yeah, I like it, especially because since we are looking at going into where Monarchy is going in the back-to-back set, they have not picked the spirit at all. So I think there's
No,
probably a pretty good chance of seeing that. Um, I'm gonna be interested here. I would love to say that this is a good place to use Nemesis, who we did talk
oh
about,
yeah,
and it is
it was,
slow. Slow being one of the more Nemesis names out there. But with that being said, and knowing Slow's on your roster, would you save your last Nemesis pick for later in the season in case you?
I think if it was me and I had a situation, you would compare Freddy to that for me, since Freddy is my main of
Right.
choice and who I would save for kind of like the strong point. I would probably either use it for either a rival team just to have some fun, or I would use it for a situation like, I need to use a dire situation last minute needs against a team that I think and I have confidence that I'm going to lose in. So like I would pull that out in a situation I really feel like I would need to, and I would lean towards more of like maybe my secondary main than my full main right here.
Now, with Monarchy coming out, Monarchy has actually done a very good job of spreading their picks out. Like a lot of the teams, when you look at their usage, they've got most teams have at least like one killer completely consumed. Whereas
Yeah, I was
Monarchy
seeing
is
that.
like the only, I don't want to say the only, I'm going to quickly say only. Yeah, I think I can confidently say that. Only team who has not consumed any yet, which is interesting.
Yeah, that was very interesting when I was looking over the stats as well. It was kind of like seeing what killer choices was used this far into the season, and like in this week, like which killers was already burned up and everything else like that. I was very interested in seeing what we may see tonight, because like we seen earlier on Trickster coming out and showing up in some of these games, and I was kind of excited to maybe get to see some killers like that we don't really get to see.
I was wondering if maybe Plague would come out here, but I see that Monarchy's already used Plague, and I don't know if, Plague could put a decent amount of pressure now. Actually, Plague could be playable here, actually, the more I think about it. Could be fun.
Yeah, I think we're ready here. Whenever you're ready to switch out there.
All right.
Yeah, we still do gotta watch for that blight pick as well, because I don't think either team has picked up blight either.
So Demice has consumed their Blight, but Monarchy has not used either. So they could, and I mean, I feel like if I'm going to use Blight, it would be let me come out and trial too. Let me see if I can close the gap and if I need Blight for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he would be also one of those kind of last minute choices.
But we do see we've got our 4 bloodied blueprints. We've got our cut coin. Demice here is going to look at extending their lead over on the survivor side. So let's go ahead and talk about how they're looking at doing that here. Of course, first things you got to do is do gens. The first 2 gens are basically free, so they're 1 point apiece. Gens 3 and 4th, they do get you 2 points. The 5th gen, since it's worth really the most for the survivors, we make it worth the most of the scoreboard, 3 points. The first escape, though, is 1 point. The second point escape, 2 points. The third escape, you get a little bit more. That's 4 points. But if you get a 4th escape, that is going to be 6 points. If you escape with 2 or more hook states remaining, you do get yourself an additional bonus point there as well. So if you're able to play safe and get out, it's a way to kind of add to your points a little bit. 26 points in total available for our survivors here. If you have any other questions, if you want to know more or anything like that, don't ask me, don't ask your mama. Exclamation point rules in chat. But chat, let's go ahead and take another trip back into the fog. And look, I promise I didn't have any insider information on this. I know I literally said this right before we loaded into the trial, but we've got Slow bringing the plague out. You'll love to see it.
Oh yeah, of course. We love to see play coming out in these kind of games like this, especially since her recent buffs that she had. She's just very viable in these kind of situations.
I feel like especially you have the option to kind of do what we're seeing here from Slow. You kind of go around you give yourself a little bit of extra tracking, right? By going over, you kind of puke on a couple of gens. If you see anybody get sick, you can kind of imagine that they are probably on one of the gens. Of course, at this point, Slow's kind of gotten a couple of them sick. The bat, it's kind of like a risk though, because if you make the survivors play too patient at this point, they can just wait out Corrupt, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just the whole weight out on corrupt is a lot stronger than a lot of survivors tend to use it, because a lot of survivors, they think in their mind to rush out those gens in the beginning, but that could really put you in a 3 gen situation later if you're not careful.
Now we do see Slow is able to remove one of the resources very quickly, that being that pallet in the area. At that point, since we're taking Chase away from that corrupt pool, Slow does make the decision to go ahead and pick up early. Nice down onto Paige. This is actually a very, very quick down and might be able to use this, especially since we're over here on the uncorrupt side of the map, to really build some pressure.
Yeah, with 5 gens still being up and this down going down right here, it's going to be really hard for the survivors to kind of apply the pressure that they need right here, especially with having to worry about getting this unhooked.
And now we do see we have been able to locate another survivor. This is going to be Squid Savage over here. Not going to be able to get those shot around the pallet. This is kind of the one place where I would say Plague does tend to struggle. Some of these not quite super strong pallets, but not unsafe, because of course if you get stunned just like that, you can get stunned out of your power. Extra blind as well, but now at this point, just looking to try and get the Nia sick here. That way you can at least work towards the progress of having her being one shot down.
Yeah, with this survivor being the one with the flashlight, she could really delay a lot of time here if she keeps the aggro like she's doing right now really well. She's running the killer really well here. It looks like she's going to drop the chase and go on to somebody else.
Yeah, I like this play, right? Because you know that you've gotten the save, and you can probably imagine, since obviously against Plague, you can't really heal. The two survivors probably paired up on a gen, plus, of course, your third survivor on a gen somewhere else. You haven't lost a gen yet, but the longer that you can go in this trial, very nice shot on the French fry there to get French fry infected. Now 4 infected survivors across the trial. We have now found Paige yet again. Remember, Paige already being hooked. Oh no, that isn't Paige. That's actually the Zarina there. That's actually Carlson, which would be another fresh hook.
Right, and I think we see right there, she has a well still up there for her power. So with all the survivors being hurt right now, this is really in the Plague's favor, especially with still 5 generators being up.
Yeah, now the one thing though worth noting, since we do still have 5 generators up, we can probably assume that means our survivors are split across the board, splitting that pressure on the objective. We are going to see Deadlock now coming into play about halfway through. That is going to be a nice dead hard there, because of course, why not dead hard? Now going to be throwing the pallet, and at this point, a lot of the resources kind of getting depleted on this side of the map.
Yeah, a lot of the resources gone right there right away, and it looks like she's going to choose to drink her puke and go on. It looks like the gens are popping right now. We got them popping left and right.
Yeah, our survivor is doing a very good job of pushing back after that very early down. Really doing a good job pushing out some pressure here, basically pushing back with that objective work. Now, though, they do got to try and look. I think they still have a little bit of a 3-gen setup over here on this the circus side, kind of where the corrupt was. So this would be the area you would like to put your focus. There's going to be a down onto Squid Savage. That is going to be another fresh hook. So that does mean you do have some hang time here if the survivors do opt to, kind of force gens and prioritize gens over friends. And they should probably focus on this side here with the generators. But that's going to be the top mid-gen for Gen 3.
Yeah. With that gen being gone for Gen 3, it's really going to be a lot of pressure for Play to come back here. She did have the game in her favor there when the 5 gens was up, but the gens popping as fast as they are right now, I'm not sure if this whole route is the way to go with the whole deadlock.
Now, the one thing that, of course, is working in your favor right now, if you are slow, is you are playing the Plague, and the survivors have refused to cleanse. So everybody right now is, of course, just one shot away from being down on the ground. Oh, I don't know how Paige pulled that off, but that was really impressive. But that's going to be a down here at this point.
Oh, she got it down right there. Yeah. As you were saying, with all the survivors being injured at late game there, it can be kind of a threat, but it might not be as well, as we did see the Plague did drink her puke, and it's not on the map right now. So she's not going to have her corrupted pool until one of the survivors do decide to cleanse.
And we have located one of our injured survivors still here back behind here. I believe that is Carlson. Keep in mind, Carlson is the one that was just up on the shoulder. Not sure if she is the one holding the decisive strike in this trial or not, but we do see taking the chase back on the backside of the circus here, able to make the vault, prolonging this chase a little bit here. Unfortunately, looks like a little bit of indecision might have caught Carlson out of position. Unfortunate dead hard too.
Oh man, that dead hard was so close right there, but unfortunately she got clipped on that wall when she was trying to go for it there. That would have been the play to go for, given the time for the survivors to reset and get the gen pressure.
Yeah, I think if you make that vault, that would have actually been very huge. Unfortunately, though, back up on, or I should say back up on the hook. Actually, Carlson was not on a hook prior to this, so that's actually going to be another fresh hook. So again, you do have, well, I was going to say have hang time, but I don't, would that have been Deliverance possibly?
Deliverance? I'm not sure because she was broken at the time.
Yeah, I guess that's the hard thing to see, but we're actually going to see a 5th gen getting done across the way, which would make the Deliverance make sense. We are going to see here the dead hard to be able to make one more rotation around the pallet, but that is going to be Carlson here. Now at this point, down on the ground, the question is, do you have the decisive strike? The answer is no. That's going to be hook number 2, very close to this door. Now, I believe we've got the doors, yeah, relatively close here, so Slow could make a play here in the late game. You do have your power, but everyone's fully healthy.
Yeah, everybody's fully healthy right now because, like, as we were saying, they're waiting to cleanse until that end game. But now, as you see, she's got a lot of the corruptions to choose for here, really spread out on the map as well for her, so she can kind of almost keep it continuously throughout the whole end game here if she wanted to. So she's got a lot of pressure here as she has it held. It's maybe what she wants in her favor, but as it looks right now, it looks like they may just get a solid 3 out.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because we do see there has yet been to be any progress on either door. We do see some scratch marks, though, leaving away from this one. We do not have any pallets in this jungle gym, so a very smart decision by Squid Savage here to go ahead and pre-leave. Heading back more towards Shack. Yeah, actually going to be using Life because, of course, that is indeed Life. Going to be able to make the distance and avoids 2 of the corrupt pukes there. Going to be able to build huge distance, which should build enough time for our last 2 survivors to at least be able to get the out here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It looks like that he may be able to pull out a 2nd kill here.
I'm kind of interested to see why they didn't take the time while Squid Savage here was in chase to be able to go get the save. I kind of feel like they might have been able to get the extra escape.
Yeah, they might have just been thinking in their mind just to get the solid 2 out because, like, as we've seen, this Plague has a lot of pressure, and she did have a lot of corruption around this map to be able to apply more pressure. So with her having her power at this late game like that, it's just untelling what you can do with unhooking at the hook.
But I mean, a very solid performance here by Monarchy. I mean, we were kind of talking about, you had brought up the potential of, maybe seeing like a Blight come out, and I was talking about maybe not wanting to expend such a tough killer, but you come out with a killer like Plague and you close the gap here as long as our score is indeed all the way updated and correct. We're talking about a 6-point difference now. I mean, that's manageable at halftime.
Yeah, 6-point difference is very, very doable, and it's going to be a very close game here. I can really sense a very strong gameplay in this last game that we're coming into.
Oh man, and that's honestly this is what you love to kind of show up and to see, right? Whenever we show up for some competitive gameplay, it's a 6-point game. Like, yeah, it's a deficit, but you talk about manageable. It's almost like it's a 0-0, right?
Right. It really becomes a nail biter for both teams right here. This is where all the nerves start to kick in. And everybody kind of gets a little bit jittery, but this is where everybody can just kind of come out and show up and show who they are, and we can really see some strong gameplay right here.
Now, here becomes the interesting thing, because, of course, Monarchy does finish on the survivor side. And we kind of talked about it, 30 points available for killer, 26 available for the survivor. So you would like to put yourself in a little bit of a lead. So you're going to want a strong performance here. And that's kind of tougher to do on this map, as we've seen. We're at halftime. In case we have anybody that was in here when we broke down the map before. We are on Father Campbell's Chapel, of course, Crotus Pen Asylum. It is one of those weirder maps. It's 140 square tiles, though, 8,960 square meters. What does that mean exactly? I don't know, man. Basically, it just means that it's 6 hook minimum, 6 hook maximum. One of the smaller maps, but also has a very, very big middle building to work with, right?
Oh yeah, of course it does. Like I said before, that middle building is the strong point of this map. That's where all of your value is going to come out of the looping. It just depends on how that killer goes about it. If they leave walls up, if they break them, if the pallets are getting used, or if they're not. It just depends on all about how the gameplay goes. It's always different every time on these kind of maps like this. It's just exciting. I can't wait to see how this gameplay is going to go with how close this game is on this kind of a map.
So you were talking about wanting to see a spirit. Monarchy is currently down 6. They are on the killer side, knowing that they're going to be trying to set their survivors up for a manageable win condition in Trial 4. And they haven't consumed Spirit. We might see Spirit come out here.
Yeah, I was really thinking that we're going to see a Spirit tonight, just looking at the killer choice boards and everything what's been going on in the past here. And just the situation that they're in with it being this close, it may just be time to see a Spirit come out.
I feel like if I'm reaching into my bag and wanting to make sure I'm putting like my best foot forward here, if I'm Monarchy, and if I am reaching for an S tier, and we can have the debate all night whether Spirit's still S tier or not, we'll save that for another day. But I feel like between Blight and Spirit, I feel like Spirit's the option here, right?
Exactly, Spirit would just be the strongest option. But like we said before, the element of surprise is a really strong key in DVD. They may whip something out that we would never expect, and it just throw everybody out. So,
I mean, it is their home map, so they have some options. Now, with knowing that it's their home map, and something to keep in mind, I talked about earlier how they only have one more home game after this. I feel like with us being in week 8 of the season, we're probably not going to be seeing the Doctor too much. This might be a last chance to use the Doc. But I think since you're in a deficit, I'm not sure that's the option.
Yeah, as we've seen, Doctor was very usable on this map before.
He got the 10
very
hooks, though.
Strong.
Yeah,
with holding out the vaults and everything with his power and stuff like that. That's a good killer choice too, and that's something that we wouldn't really honestly expected at first. So, like I was saying, the element of surprise is going to be great, and it looks like we are ready for you to move over.
Let's do it! I love it. All right, let them good
Get
luck.
some hype up in the chat for this game coming up here. This is a close game.
Yeah,
Who y'all think's going to come out on top here? Let's see what you all think in the chat. Who you guys think's coming out on top?
I think if I had to pick, I think Demice knows the importance of the game today. Monarchy, like, yeah, you want the perfect season, but at the same time, like, you're at the top of your division right now. Like, you're comfortable. Demice, like, they're the margin for error at the top of the boards heading towards the final verdict is getting smaller and smaller. So I feel like Demice really knows that they need this today.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like we got a prediction up there. If you guys want to get involved with that prediction, let's see who's going to come out on top here with the chat here. See what you guys think. You the people. You guys heard what we thought about which killer is going to come out, but let's see what you guys think here.
Now, things get tough here because, of course, if you're Demice, if you come out here on the survivor side and put up a good fight, you can make it to where, maybe you only have to worry about getting like 2 eliminations, which is very, very doable. We are going to see, though, 4 bloody blueprints, the cut coin. There are rules and things like that here in Vigo's court, believe it or not, things that aren't allowed and such. So let's go ahead and talk about those things here, all right? Because as far as like builds and things, yeah, you are only allowed yellow items and add-ons, and you're only allowed 1 of each perk, except for borrowed time. You're allowed 2 of those because we're friendly. But otherwise, you only have to have 1 of everything else, okay? There are some perks that are banned. You're not going to see any Built to Last, no Prove Thyself, no Starshock, Haunted Ground, Lethal Pursuer, no Boons, no Clairvoyance. So all stuff like that. Also, we've kind of talked a lot. Killer uses are limited to twice a season. Survivors are limited as you can only have 1 survivor per round, okay? It doesn't matter if you're running 4 Dwights, 1 Locker, or anything like that, all right? There's penalties and stuff. Violations are subject to things like that. If you have any other questions, again, don't ask me, man. I just freaking told you. Exclamation point rules in chat. But let's go ahead and get down to it. And it's very interesting. We talked about possibly seeing an S tier killer come out, and you talked about maybe Blight, and we do see Slow going for that option here.
Oh yes, we do see a Blight coming out here, and like I was saying before, it would be kind of an option on this map, but like we were talking about with the whole collision issues, this map also is one of those maps that have that issue for the Blight.
Now, we do see Slow able to get a very early hit through the window there. I believe that was at the T portion of the TNL wall. We are also going to be seeing Slow working with the Blighted Crow plus the Compound add-on there. So that way you are going to still get some speed, not the double speed, but you are going to get the help from the auras while we're working around some of the tighter ways here. We are going to be able to get it down here. That's going to be before 60 seconds has expired into this trial. So Slow doing a very good job in the early portion. Also, this hook is going to be in the corrupt side of your map as well.
Oh yes, as we've seen, those add-ons just helped out with that fast down there in the beginning. He was able to track that survivor, and it looks like he's going to be able to get some more value out of it here, this is one of the add-ons that is very strong on Blight in this kind of situation for this size map.
And just before Slow went to go ahead and kick the generator, there is going to be the deadlock covering up the generator. Says, nah, man, that thing's for me. That generator has the most progress, and since they already did one, I'm covering that one up. We are going to see a hit, though, onto Carlson here, relatively close to this hook, which does mean things could be getting a little spicy. We do see Slow breaking chase now coming in towards the hook. We do hear some footsteps around here. Not able to get the grab, though.
Thought we had a grab right there for sure. But it looks like Dwight's going to get away, and we're going to go for the trade on the hook.
And I think that the trade makes sense, right? You just recently hit French Fries, so you know that he's still injured somewhere. You just recently injured Carlson here as well. This time we're going to go back to that top mid-gen. We are going to see the kick. This time with the kick, we are going to see that pop goes the Weasel. Is going to be coming in here for a little bit of help. Now going to be trying to see if we can find the reset location onto Fry, or maybe just find a survivor in general. That is actually our injured survivor, and I believe that was actually a dead hard that built you the distance, but I do not believe you should be able to make it to a pallet or a window at this point.
Oh yeah, Blight got him down right there in the kill shack, which is going to put a lot of pressure here on the survivors with it being 4 gens up still. Yeah, as you see, it looks like he gets a basement hook here too, so that's going to put a lot more pressure on these survivors. It looks like this is more in the Blight's favor as we're looking at it.
Yeah, things are definitely looking tough. Now we are going to see a second generator getting complete. The generator that does get covered up by that deadlock is going to be the gen that is in Killer Shack. That does let Slow know at this point that that generator has the most progress, at least at this point in the trial. Very nice work around the doorway to be able to get the hit onto Carlson here as well. Kind of interesting to see you go ahead and opt to continue the chase instead of go for the pop goes the Weasel play. But we are going to see, oh, what are we going to see here? Actually breaking into the 4 lane. Oh.
And that was very close play right there from the Blight.
I really like that tracking by Carlson. I think Carlson almost got caught out of position at first, but then was able to use that barrel there to kind of create the distance that you need. Unfortunately, though, actually double unfortunate, because Slow was trying to close the distance. Not going to be able to get collision, though. So not going to be able to put pressure directly on the unhook, but you are still going to at least have 2 survivors here in the area. We do see the aura here on Dwight, thanks to that compound. Trying to work our way around is Slow here. Now working their way back towards the shack as well.
Yeah, as you can see right there, we got one down right here, and it looks like he may be able to leave the slug down and track out for the, I think we had Dwight was there also injured.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Now, you haven't seen any compound value from the Dwight. I'm wondering if that's going to be the scratch marks that are actually leaving this person here. Yeah, this could actually be big, because now, yeah, you're going to have a person on the ground, so that does now force another survivor. Oh, I was going to say to actually have to come over here, but I'm not sure if that was an unbreakable in play, because Paige is already off the ground.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was unbreakable, because I didn't get to see another survivor around there, so there is very possible that we did get to see the unbreakable play. But it does look like Dwight is taking the Blight around this pallet here for quite a while, which is going to give the survivors enough time to do some pressure on the opposite side.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, really patient looping here by French Fry at this point. Should be able to get the, oh, I was going to say be able to get the pallets done here. Now, though, with the Bloodlust, don't want to greet it anymore. Oh, we're able to get in. Oh, but you allowed Slow to go through, and that's going to be a down.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he couldn't get the proc off and drop the pallet down.
Oh, gets done, stupid,
God.
with the save.
And we had the beautiful save right there, as you guys seen with the pallet. Didn't even have to use the flashlight. But it looks like he recovered it right away.
Yeah, really good recovery, but that does, of course, still buy time for your other 2 survivors, right? To be split up on gens here, especially knowing that you have only 2 gens left needing to be complete. Of course, the other thing was you were trying to delay the inevitable elimination hook. We do hear, though, the 4th gen getting complete. We also hear that generator in top mid. That thing's knocking like a Ford in the middle of December. I'll tell you what, that thing's just about ready to go. Once that deadlock is off, that's probably like 4 or 5 seconds away from completion.
Yeah, exactly. And as we see here, the Blight is just doing great with this pressure. He just has really good tracking ability right now.
And now at this point, we are going to see Slow is going to wait for the deadlock. And now at this point, deadlock, actually, again, Vader, I'm not sure if you're here. Good value. Deadlock at least protects the gen. So you are now able to get the pop goes the weasel. So you're able to get some extra value there.
Yeah, so deadlock did come in clutch right there with the whole pop goes the weasel. It looks like we're going to have another chase going on here with Nia.
Yeah, and really good job as far as using the first pallet, not only to be able to create the distance, but be able to get the stun to be able to build additional distance. We do see, though, that there has been a survivor that has been able to come over here, get some more progress on this gen. Actually, it looks like maybe even be able to get pretty much all of the progress back from that pop goes the weasel kick, which means this generator being very, very close. Now going to be seeing the M1 onto Squid Savage, who's going to be taking the chase here at the TNL wall. And now going back towards the carnival, we have a couple of survivors back here. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get the hit onto IKEA Carlson, who is now, of course, not injured, which would now take 2 health states to be able to put down on the ground.
Yeah, we got Squid Savage as the only one being injured right now, so that's kind of what would be the idea for the Blight to try to catch her off guard. But it looks like we're gonna, we got the gen done, and we're gonna have a play here at the end. We're gonna have to see if the survivors go ahead and choose to take the 2 out, or if they come back for the save.
Yeah, the only tough thing, though, is even after that, we saw one more sound notification. No Way Out being proxed here. Squid Savage is injured. We know the No Way Out prox was back here in the circus side of the map. There is going to be the save onto Paige, actually getting the save relatively quick. That's actually kind of a risky play in my opinion. Feel like you could have maybe had a little bit of a play here. Able to prevent the collision, however, still going to be able to get the hit here onto IKEA Carlson. Nice body blocks though by Paige, trying to prolong this chase just a little bit here. At this point, the No Way Out is off of the doors, but we are going to see a down onto IKEA Carlson here, and I believe that should give our survivors enough time to go ahead and open the doors. The question is, do they opt to go for it, knowing that there's no Noah?
Well, knowing that there's no Noad, I think that the idea would be to just go ahead and take the out. But with that being the fresh hook, that kind of took that was kind of in the Blight's favor for that being the fresh hook that he just got there in the end. But it looks like we are going to get the 2 out. Oh my God! Did we just have a deliverance play?
Yeah, that's a deliverance. So what we oh no, the deliverance we were worried about earlier was the plague match. But yeah, that's going to be a deliverance play here. Now going to be making a 50-50 for the hatch here, unless maybe that's a wake-up player who can maybe make their way across the way for a save. But we do see here that is going to be the hatch being found. The question is, did that allow enough time for IKEA Carlson to find their way to the door? I believe that was IKEA. Actually, we saw them, making their way, and that's going to be the 3 out.
3 out there.
Huge deliverance.
That's huge. That was a great ending right there to that game.
And that's very big because keep in mind that was Monarchy who was killing there. Monarchy was trying to bring things back there. And with that third with that last play, hold on, let me actually get us back to our lobby here. So with that last play, you prevent the progression on the second and third hook, which would have been, what, 3 points? Plus, you get the 4 points for the escape. So I think, like a 7-point swing right there by Demice. Now looking at an 11-point lead going into the killer game to end the trial. Crazy.
That was just crazy ending right there. It was very unexpected. Huge value out of the deliverance there. Just good to see that that perk is still coming in value as well as it always has. It's just such a great perk to run. It was just such a great play there at the end.
That was amazing. I mean, you get over there, and what's crazy is I feel like where the hook was, I almost wonder if maybe you had just passed where the hatch had spawned by the time the exits occurred, because the hatch was relatively close to where they were hooked at, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe the hatch was like just right there by the hook, just right outside of it. So I think it did spawn right where the hook was at. So you could have just gotten right out.
Yeah, I think that was just one of those things where you get the deliverance and then the two leave, and since it's so far behind you, you don't hear it. But it did work out in their advantage because instead, Slow comes over, makes the smart play, which is close the hatch. You're not going to leave an open hatch, right?
Exactly.
But
and usually with the whole deliverance, we see the DS come up with it too. So
yeah,
we probably had the DS in play there as well. I didn't really check to make sure there at the end, but I'm pretty sure there was probably DS with a deliverance at the end. And the survivor probably had a safe way out, 50-50 shot.
But that was, I mean, that's crazy because again, you know, we talk about that's a 7-point swing. We're probably looking at this thing being a tie had there not been a deliverance and then the third escape, or something around a tie, somewhere around there. I'm not perfect with the math, taking points onto both sides there, but the game would definitely be a lot closer. So that's huge for Demice on the survivor side. Now heading into the killer set.
Oh yeah, for sure. And this game is still very close, and we're gonna have a lot of gameplay gonna come out right there, and this is just exactly what I wanted to see. I got to see the blight come out. I got to see the game go on, and then just the whole deliverance. That this is just what we come to see. This kind of play is right here.
So if Monarchy is going to want to keep the season alive, I think you need to get 3 out, and you need to have very minimal hooks.
Yeah, that would be the goal, to try to get 3 out right here. Minimum hooks is always the idea to go. But let's try to get 3 out here and lock this in.
I think though, like I'm terrible at doing like the win condition math, but I think we're looking at like, I mean, you need like a 1K at like 4 or 5 hooks. I think if you're Demice, they've really set themselves up nice.
I'm also really bad at on the spot math with you there, Q. I'm right there with you on that. I would probably went to the same elementary school. I'm not sure, but it's very close game, and this is the nitty gritty. This is where it really matters.
So, man, this is tough because if you're Monarchy, you're coming out on the survivor side. You do have the middle building, as we talked about, can be a very valuable resource. Of course, there's always a shack, which can be valuable. But otherwise, you've also those middle, like, ruin areas we've seen can be very valuable. Even though there might not be, like, god pallets, they're still very strong.
Yeah, for sure. Any pallet's a strong pallet if it's used right. I mean, even the ones that are unsafe, if you can get a stun off on the killer, you can still get some distance away from that.
That's fair.
So it just depends on how you can utilize that pallet. So if you're good at timing and knowing how to drop the pallets to try to force the killer to swing through or walk through the pallet, then you're getting value out of that pallet. It just depends on how the killer is playing back at you. Are they respecting the pallets or are they swinging through? But we can see a lot of value getting used out of that main building, as we talked about earlier on. It's just, there's like almost an infinite loop there if the killer just doesn't do it right.
Yeah. And especially too, if you get the right work of your windows as well, like where your window placements are.
Exactly.
Now, what is, I would imagine at this point, there's a discussion that has to be going on Monarchy's side. Right? You're down by 11. You need a strong run here. In your experience in the comp scene, what does their comms look like right now? Heading into Trial 4.
Rephrase that one more time for me there, Q.
So Monarchy is needing a strong trial here on the survivor side, right? They're down 11.
Right.
What does what in your experience, what do you think the comms look like in Monarchy's voice chat right now? Is it a lot of trying to build each other up, or is it very much like you have one shot caller trying to set up a game plan here?
I would say that they're trying to keep confidence on them. They're not going to be trying to bash everybody down. It's right now it's very close. It's still a winnable game. So I think their comms are very very immersed. You know, they're very look like they're very well put together team. They have a really good communication in the game. You see really good attempts and stuff that they go for. So I think that they're really well put together survivor team. So when it comes to communication, I think they work together a lot and they can kind of click. And this is a situation that they are expecting to be in, and they have already readied themselves for this kind of situation. With my experience, that's how it would go. Because being calm in these kind of situations are always the route to go. Stay calm and stick to the goal.
Right, because I mean, we've seen very often that the difference between 4 hooks and 4K can just be forcing the killer to make 1 or 2 mistakes in a trial.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. Only one little tiny slip up is all it takes for the game to go the other way. And we've seen it time and time again. It just happens. And as you're talking about it, it will happen. Or it'll happen the opposite way of what you even expected. It's just this game can go so many different ways, and that's what keeps us here.
I think what's been interesting through the 3 trials is I feel like our survivor teams have mostly been sticking to using their resources on one side of the map, which I feels like kind of odd because I feel like you have 2 very strong sides of the map running wise, but we've seen our survivors have relatively good performances all the way throughout too, right?
Yeah, it does look like a lot of the pressure does get held over by the shack side generally, and shack can be very strong to be at, but how strong is it after that pallet's already gone, especially when you've used all the resources outside of it as well. It just depends then on how the whole tiles that spawned outside of the shack and where you got your window vaults at, because you can still use the shack after the pallet's gone. It just depends on the whole layout of the map and what you got to work with. And it could be the ideal strat. It could just be the way it's working out. Because you know, as we're going into the same map every game, you will kind of expect the same kind of flow on that map. And just the whole killer shack in general is kind of the ideal way for the survivor to run to, because if they can hold a chase to get down that first gen, maybe even a half a gen locked in on one chase at the shack, then they have got that resource value out of that shack pallet when it does hit the ground.
Especially because we tend to see in the comp scene that shack pallet tends to hit the ground faster than in pub matches, which you feel like is almost the opposite of what you'd expect, right?
Exactly. It is the opposite of what you would expect. But anymore, I've been saying it time after time, pub games are kind of like a comp game anymore. A lot of people are playing them in the same concept of the way that the comp setting is, and they go about it in that way. So it is something to be expected. And if there is a chase going on by shack, 9 out of 10 times is the shack pallet got dropped. So, I mean, that's just how DBD is right now, and that's just what the gameplay has gone to.
So right now, if you're Demice, I don't think you change up your game plan on the killer side, right? Like you're not going to like burn a killer with only 11-point lead, right?
Right. If I was Demice, I would pick somebody maybe that I feel comfortable with, but not somebody that I don't want to waste right away, kind of a thing. It would be something that I feel confident with, but then again, it could be something that I could lose with too. They have this game right now in their favor, but it is still a very close game. Monarchy can come out and take this back. So they have a lot to think about, and it looks like everybody's ready, and we can go ahead and switch over and get going with this.
All right, I will let them know, and we will wait to switch things in. Man, it's you know, for your first day on the desk, I feel like this is kind of what you're hoping for, right? We still got a game heading into trial 4, and
we get to see it, man. We're here and we're behind the desk watching it from this side. It's a lot different than being in the games myself, as what I'm used to doing. And you know, I've been on multiple of these comp teams before, and I've been through a lot of the setting. And it's a lot different from this point of view, and it's really good to get to see the entire game. You get to catch a lot more things that you didn't get to catch in the game while you're there. So it's really nice to get to watch this, keeping me on the edge of my seat.
I love it. I love it. So we do see our 4 bloodied blueprints, our cut coin as well. Last time while we were loading, we talked about some of the rules and things. Believe it or not, rules are not meant to be broken. But let's talk about what happens here in Vigos if any of those bands or any of those rules get broken here. Anything that has any match that has penalties, they can be played out, they can be restarted, or both. It kind of depends on the severity of the situation. Like, let's say if you have 2 of the same survivor, banned perks, items, different add-ons, stuff like that. Those are going to be 5-point deductions and a possible restart, okay? If you have the wrong map brought in, that's going to be a negative 5 points and an automatic restart. Harassing the ref, bringing part people that aren't in on your list, stuff like that. Negative 10 per offense, no restart. Just don't do that stuff, all right? Using exhausted killers, negative 10 plus an auto restart. Delaying the game, you will also lose a point for, because we're tired of waiting on y'all. We got a pace to keep around here, baby. But if you have any other questions, exclamation point rules in the chat, and let's go ahead and take another trip back into the fog. And I like this pick. In case we have anybody who's new to Dead by Daylight, you won't see this killer in the store. We are going to see the demo dog coming out.
Oh yes, this is a very interesting pick. I would not have expected this one to come out right now. This map can be very good for the Demogorgon with his ability to teleport across with his portals. So he can do a lot of pressure on these gens and be kind of everywhere.
Yeah, and one thing that kind of helps out too for the Demogorgon, of course, is you're not a traditional setup trap killer like the Trapper or the Hag, where you have to take time to set up in the beginning of the trial. You can kind of set up as you go as far as with your portals, while still being able to put that pressure on survivors across the map here. It does look like we have found Lori back here in the carnival side of the map. The other thing, of course, that does work in your favor if you are a Demogorgon, you do have that shred ability, which not only closes the gap between you and a survivor, but also allows you to remove those pallets out of the way very quickly, kind of like the chainsaw killers, right?
Yeah, this shred ability is very underrated in my opinion. It's very strong in a lot of situations, especially if you're running like different perks that kind of complement off that, like kind of perks like save the best for last and things like that. Just kind of go really well with it. You could do a lot of things with shred and have different situations.
Now,
and
Last
puts a lot of distance with it too.
Yeah, and we see Last here doing a very good job on this run. Actually already seeing a first gen getting complete while we've only seen a change of a health state. Nice body block by Slow as well, allowing more distance to be built by Last here. And we have now going to be seeing not only the top center gen being done, but we're seeing a 4th gen being covered on the map. That's going to be that Deadlock coming into play.
Oh yeah, Deadlock coming into play. We've seen it time and time before today. It's just came in a lot of value in certain situations. And it looks like this team is taking a lot of body blocks here, which is also a very good thing against the Demogorgon. Put him behind very well. Looks like she got across this pallet here as well, which that would have been huge for the demo if he could have got the down right there.
Yeah, actually a really good job. Nerves of Steel being able to really keep cool, calm, and collect, making sure they're making no mistakes here. Another body block coming in from Rocket after getting reset probably by themselves with the med kit there. We are now going to see French Fry says, no more resetting and taking blocks for you with the med kit, my friend. You're going to catch these hands. That's going to be a down for Rocket. However, you can't help but wonder, with only 1 gen being complete thus far, what kind of pressure is getting spread amongst multiple gens right now?
Yeah, there's got to be multiple gens being worked on right now. This is some really good delaying going on over here. And as we see it, it looks like we're at the shack side once again. With these runs, we're utilizing all of the resources at this side of the map.
We're also noticing on the left side of your screen, very fast resets coming in from the team, not only from the self-reset that we had seen, but also just the team doing a very good job of rotating around, being in communication, making sure that they're being very efficient here. We're also seeing the save as we are taking the chase here with Last, and now at this point, I think this is the right decision by French Fry here, going for more of the tunnel out process, especially since Nia had not really vacated the area.
Yeah, especially with how much body blocks they're taking, I think the tunnel would be the ideal way to go right now. The team is doing very well with the body blocks. It looks like they get a lot of practice against a demo. But Demo is doing very well at responding to this. He's holding it at 4 gens right now. So, I mean, he's coming out and showing up as well. So he's showing us a lot of pressure here.
Yeah, and worth noting that the generator that is covered currently by Deadlock, I can't tell for sure. Sounds like it's probably somewhere around the 50% mark. Nice shred to be able to get the down onto Rocket here. Of course, that will be a fresh hook onto Rocket. Rocket does seem to be able to do a little bit of the sneaking around, prolonging the pickup just a little bit here. But with that being said, you will notice as French Fry looks around, you, I believe, still have a little bit of a 3 gen. Still still intact. Actually, a really good 3-gen still intact on this side of the map. Kind of interesting to see French Fry actually break away and go to the opposite side here.
Yeah, exactly. A 3-gen on that side of the map could be very strong for the killer to have. And with time after time again, we also see, as we've been saying, the 3-gens can be valuable and they cannot be as long as the killer is playing off that. If the killer decides to just choose chase and hold chase, and the 3-gen cannot be valuable. And if they decide to hold on the gens, then it's going to be valuable. But it looks like we're going to get an unhook right here, and we're going to go for the tunnel.
Yeah, I think the tunnel is the decision. Of course, there is a body block that is between you and that right now, that being Keeperly. We are going to see, though, the shred to close the distance as well as to secure the health state change. But Keeperly staying close, really playing protect the queen on Nia here. Keeperly is going to be a fresh down, a fresh hook, but instead it does look like French Fry going to close the distance. Of course, by leaving the slug, you are going to be forcing another survivor to get off of the gen, as we do still need 3 of those to be complete before we can power the doors.
Yeah, exactly. So that does put the pressure on for the survivor to have to get off the gen there. But it does also allow the killer to assure this down right here from the tunnel. They are doing really good with body blocks, which is delaying the Demogorgon a lot here, allowing the survivors to keep that pressure on the gen just that much more time longer.
The one thing worth noting, though, is the pickup was relatively recently. Yeah, I was going to say there's still going to be someone close, and it is actually one of our injured survivors that we have been able to locate here heading around the middle building. Now, Rocket has been eliminated. Anybody who has played DBD knows that the game plan really changes once it becomes a 3v1, and we still have quite a bit of objective work. This next, 90 seconds are going to be very, very crucial for Monarchy here.
Yeah, Monarchy's really got to show up right here to come back on this right now. They got the pressure is really on at this point in the game, and as we are by the shack once again, looks like most of the pallets around here have been used. We still do have the pallet up right here at this tile. Looks like we got another body block right there, which is also very good. Is she backing out to go get healed, or is the other survivor on the gen is the question.
I'm not really sure, and I'm trying to do quick math. I think they can only allow 1 more hook, so this is getting pretty tough here. We are going to see, though, the lunge with the shred attack is going to be missed, so that is going to allow some valuable distance to be built here. Also, keeping in mind, since some distance is being built, we have not seen our other 2 survivors. That's some valuable time for them to be doing the easy thing, which is holding M1 and hitting some skill checks. There's the down onto Keeperly. That is generator number 4. But I believe with this hook onto Keeperly here, they can only tie it. I could be wrong on that. But the things are now coming down to the wire. If you're the survivors, you need to pretty well play a perfect trial from here on out. We do see the reset onto last. The question is, does the reset also come across on a slow?
Exactly, and then we also start to think, is the demo going to choose the option to sit here and camp out for the second stage, or is he going to commit to the generator pressure here? I think he's going to... Oh, looks like we got a save.
Yeah. Oh, we do have a broken status. That could have been a deliverance. Yeah, which is interesting because we do see French Fry coming over here and finding Slow, as Slow just finished the heal onto themselves here. And that is going to be now taking chase into the main building. We talked about main building can be a stronger tile here. However, I do not think you... Oh, actually, you are able to make it back over to the window. Do you make the next one is the question.
Oh, that shred ability, as you were saying earlier, showing some value right there with the fake out on the vault as well with the mind games.
Yeah, now moving towards the TNL here. Are going to be taking the chase with Slow. Nice shred attack, able to get the down here. We do hear quite a bit of progress on this gen on Pride Rock that's right next to us here. Looks like the third piston is starting to move quite a bit, so we're getting close to that 75% marker here. But we are going to see with Slow going up onto the hook, that will be the fresh hook onto Slow here. We do still have 1 injured survivor, so things can be getting a little spicy here.
Yeah, we got this 1 fresh hook down, which is one of the things that the demo really needed to lock this game down in his favor. It's putting a lot of pressure on. We may see a camp here to second stage. It's very doubtful, but both gens that have the progression are really close to that hook. I don't think that there's any progression on this gen over here at all.
Yeah, we do see French fries come over here.
Oh,
I'm wondering if maybe we had the two survivors. I was wondering if maybe the two survivors were paired up somewhere. We do see Lori
oh, he
last is running away towards the shack here. Now the question is, where's Keeperly, right? Because Keeperly could move in for the save across the way. Oh, but the nice double vault here does allow for the safe play around shack. I do not think we have shack pallet anymore, so that does mean that is one less resource that we have. We do have the resource that is the pallet here in the 4 lane. We see French Fry taking the swing through it. I would imagine we will probably see a full, oh, I was gonna say a full reset, but I'm actually wrong.
It looks like she's going to go ahead and take the down, maybe hoping for a slug to give her that much more time for the distance.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe you're hoping to get the slug into, it didn't sound like it was into an adrenaline unless you have one of your survivors now rotating back towards that gen, back towards shack that had a lot of progress, because you can even hear this generator, not very much progress at all. This is going to be Keeperly now going down back here in the corner, back by the door. Now, this is going to be where things could get interesting as far as maybe a potential, oh, no, I was going to say escape play because we talked about limited hook count, but we do actually see there is still one more hook available by this door, and there is going to be generator number 5 getting done.
Yeah, generator 5 just getting closed down. That's going to put a lot of pressure here on the gates coming in. We have Claudette was on the hook right there. So I feel like the smart idea for the Demogorgon right here would probably be just to hold it down and to guarantee the 2 hooks, seeing that they already have the lead that they have coming into this game.
Yeah, the only thing though, 3 stacks of no way out does mean that now there is a little bit of time between when our survivors can start powering those doors. You have found a Megan who is injured, and that is going to be a down on the slow. It does look like French Fry is going to go for the slug here. I am not sure if that's necessary. I think I would have just taken the secured hook there, but we are going to see the save here, and now going to be getting the injured state on the last, so a lot of pressure onto our survivors right now.
Yeah, we have a lot of pressure going into this end game here. This is where things are going to really show up here. We have one on the ground. I don't think that last has been hooked at all. So we have some protection that has to go on there. I think the idea here would be for her to get to the gate and try to open up and get out.
Yeah, we do see now at this point, though, it is going to be Keeperly moving back towards where the hook was. There is going to be a shred getting held. That is going to be a down on the Keeperly. We're also going to be seeing Slow is getting picked up off of the ground rather quickly, weirdly enough. And now, though, with 2 survivors being in play and the door being so far away, I think French Fry now is going to go ahead and pick up Keeperly, not French Fry, because French Fry is the one picking up. Going to go ahead and pick up Keeperly, going to go ahead and get the hook here as well. And I think with this hook, if not, there wasn't already a decision, this hook does decide it.
Yeah, I think this hook does decide the outcome of this game right here. But are we going to get the 2 out? But yeah, we got the 2 out as well.
With a little bit of the memeing with the flashlight at the end, you love to see it.
You gotta love it. You gotta love that.
And we do see the 1 down. We see last with the point. That is going to be the 2 out here, but Demice coming out and having a very strong performance, ending Monarchy's undefeated season.
Yeah, that's a huge thing to be able to accomplish something like that as well, to come out and to be able to perform the way that they did.
It's also a very big momentum builder for Demice, because here recently they have hit a little bit of a streak. They were one of our I think 6 teams that was undefeated after week number 3. They've taken a couple of L's to the chin here recently. Of course, 2 of them being against Demice and Arctic Wolves, 2 of our undefeated teams. So then a couple of other close ones to Remedy and Hex Girls as well. So by taking the win here, setting up to still be able to make a push for the playoffs, that's definitely got to feel good for Demice.
Oh yeah, it definitely has to feel good, and we already kind of expected some of this killer gameplay for French Fry, because we've seen him time and time before come out and show up with these killer games. He's really good at the pressure situations and in-game situations as well, and being able to lock things down in his favor. So I really respect that, and the fact that he went with Demogorgon in that last pick right there.
Yeah, I like the Demogorgon pick because I feel like it's one of those killers where if I'm not mistaken, they hadn't used Demogorgon yet already, but then, oh no, they had. No, they had. Yeah, it's actually one of the few killers they hadn't used. So I think both killers today. Again, we had talked about how. Oh no, they had. Anyways, regardless, Demogorgon, you talked about being a really good pick, and you still save some of your like top picks for later in the season, right?
Yeah, top picks. Yeah, so I'm kind of upset I didn't get to see the Spirit come out because I was kind of expecting that all day. But hey, I'll take the whole Demogorgon because that was still nice.
I mean, we still got a couple of weeks left, brother. We got plenty of time.
Oh yeah, we got plenty of time to see it.
And you know what, though?
Yes,
I think what I'm excited for with knowing that a lot of our teams have left the Spirit for later in the season, knowing that the Spirit has gone through some changes, I'm going to be excited to see what our teams have done on both the killer side and the survivor side once, the Spirit really does kind of come out and kind of see the strategies.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always good to see all the good sportsmanship here in the chat with the GGs and everything. It's good to see that from both teams and seeing the ups and the good sportsmanship come out, even in a situation like this where it's your unbreakable winning streak and everything like that. And it's just really good to see players coming out and still dropping the GG. So hats off to you guys out there for that.
Yeah, I know that there can sometimes be this perception that some people seem to think that like competitive DBD has to be toxic or anything like that. But we do generally see that the competitors themselves are usually very, very good-willed towards one another. And we love to always see that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder who we could be thinking about with that. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there that thinks that the competitive DBD community is very toxic, which really it's more or less just how you go about it and perspective. But as all of my experiences, competitive DBD has been some of the most wholesome people that I've ever met.
Now, man, I don't want to say I love. I do of course feel bad to see the perfect season come to an end, but you love to see a team like Demice, who were off to such a great start, and like I said, they kind of took some L's to the chin, and then to be able to come out in week 8 here against the undefeated team, knowing that you're the underdog, and kind of put everything together and get back on track. You just love to see it, right?
Yeah, you just really love to see it. And I think we have a word here that Big Ali is here for a interview.
Time for the interrogation room, baby. We got Big Boy Ali. What?
Gonna interrogate Ali here.
How you doing, Ali?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing well. How you doing today?
Feeling pretty good. We just won against the undefeated team, so
yeah, that's gotta feel good. That has to feel good to be able to get that feeling. So how did all the nerves feel like going into that game right there?
I was feeling quite nervous. I mean, I think it was more like adrenaline than like being scared, but I definitely had the blood pumping.
Yeah, for sure.
We haven't won our past couple games, so it was nice to get a victory in.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my question. So, did you guys feel like there was any sort of added stress knowing that you guys kind of had a couple of losses here, but you're still in contention for the playoffs? So, did you feel like there was some extra stress on this week's game?
We didn't really think about that. We didn't really think about the whole thing as a whole. We just want to, when we're playing, obviously in our spare time we think about that stuff, but like when we're playing, going into games, we're just like focused on the game and playing as best as we possibly can, and we don't want to let other things interfere with that, so we're just all thinking about the game, keeping our heads on straight.
Yeah, for sure. So when you guys were getting ready for this game and matchup and everything, was you guys kind of expecting some of the gameplay that you guys were seeing, or was there some things that kind of threw you guys for a loop in these matchups?
One of the main things that threw us was a slow didn't play Nemesis. He's been hyping up his Nemesis to us. He's been hyping up his Nemesis, saying, I can't wait to play Nemesis with you, for quite many weeks, and he's been excited all of this week because he knew that we were playing against them. And then he just didn't play Nemesis. I don't know
the perfect curveball, chat.
It's that element of surprise that we were talking about earlier. It still comes in handy with the DBD.
Yeah. But then he went for the Blight and Plague. instead. That threw us for a big surprise.
You guys did come out and show up though today. I hats off to you guys with that. You guys came out and showed up, gave some good gameplay. You guys stuck with it, and you guys came out. So you guys beat that team.
Is there any, knowing that we are obviously coming down the home stretch here, is there any last team on your guys' schedule that you guys kind of have like circled as like that's the one that we're really focused on, or is it just kind of whoever's up next week?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm like a complete wreck when it comes to schedules and planning stuff.
Okay,
I don't know who we're playing against next week.
that's
or
fair.
Anyone.
So it's just taking it
to
week
be
by
honest.
week.
Yeah, like now we'll begin like practicing for our next game. You know, as I said, we take it as it comes. You know, we don't like worrying about things before we have to.
I mean, you guys get to do something that hasn't been done, even I think dating back to week 1, which is going to be beating back-to-back undefeated teams with the. Oh no, I was reading the wrong thing. I thought y'all had Arctic Wolves next week. I'm kidding. But y'all still have Entity next week, who we've seen is definitely no slouch.
Yeah, Entity is one of the teams that, because obviously there's a couple teams that we're playing against twice, and Entity is actually one of them. So, we do have the sort of, I guess you call it, experience of playing against them before.
Well, before we get you out of here, is there anything else that you would like to say, whether it be to the fans of Demice or just the people of Vigo's court in general?
Just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for betting on us to win.
Let's go.
Nice way to feel when we saw that. Pretty nice ratio to us. It's a good feeling.
Nice little morale boost and kind of like confidence booster, right?
Cool.
That's good.
Yeah, and just stay safe.
I love it. Well, do you have any more questions, by the way, Salty? I'm kind of taking over. I apologize.
Oh no, that about wraps it up for me. I was just kind of curious to see how the nerves was going and how they thought about it going in, what kind of threw them off for the loop. So I think we covered everything that I was kind of curious about.
All right, Ollie. Well, it was a very impressive matchup to watch. You have yourself a great rest of your evening, my friend. We will catch you next week, all right?
You too. I'll go.
Well, Salty, I got to ask. What's so bad, right?
Not so bad, my friend. I think I enjoy this kind of feeling and being here and being able to help everybody out. So.
And it does look like that does mean that we are going to have Demice convicted of murder. We will be back at 9 o'clock for another game, all right? Salty will be back. I won't. I'll be back with y'all tomorrow. But we'll be back here at 9. We're going to go raid a couple of JoJo, so be friendly. So go say hi. Go show people that we're amazing people, all right? We love y'all. Peace.
Peace out.